argument of this book is that there is no single story to be told, whatever politicians may wish us to believe. For a century, there was a dominant national narrative about the expansion of Britain into a global empire. In 1902, after victory over the Boers in South Africa, the poet A.C. Benson added words to Edward Elgar's Pomp and Circumstance, March No. 1, extolling the land of hope and glory. Wider still and wider shall thy bounds be set. God, who made thee mighty, make thee mightier yet. But after 2 world wars and rapid decolonization, the ever mightier imperial theme rang hollow. In 1962, Dean Acheson, the former US Secretary of State, declared that Britain had lost an empire, but not yet found a role. Over the next decade, British leaders, Tory and Labour, tried to join the European Economic Community. But 2 French vetoes from President Charles de Gaulle blocked their way, and it was not until 1973 that the UK, together with Ireland and Denmark, eventually became a member of the EEC. Even though Britain was always an awkward partner, protesting about the size of its budget contributions and the EEC's obsession with farm subsidies, for the next 4 decades or so, the narrative did seem clear. The British had lost a global empire, but found a European role. But in 2016, that new role suddenly also seemed to be lost. During the referendum debate, various historical precedents and patterns were invoked to help frame Brexit Britain's historical self-understanding. Much cited was our finest hour in the Second World War. Leaving the EU would be the biggest stimulus to get our butts in gear that we have ever had, declared billionaire Peter Hargreaves, a financier of Brexit. It will be like Dunkirk again. Insecurity is fantastic. Developing the 1940 theme, Tory politician Boris Johnson asserted that the past 2,000 years of European history had been characterized by repeated attempts to unify Europe under a single government in order to recover the continent's lost golden age under the Romans. Napoleon, Hitler, various people tried this out, and it ends tragically, he claimed. The EU is an attempt to do this by different methods. The villains of the piece, in Johnson's view, were once again the Germans. The euro has become a means by which superior German productivity is able to gain an absolutely unbeatable advantage over the whole eurozone. He depicted Brexit as a chance for the British people to be the heroes of Europe, and to act as a voice of moderation and common sense, and to stop something getting, in my view, out of control. It is time for someone, it's almost always the British in European history, to say, we think a different approach is called for. Also touted as a historical guide for Britain's future was the idea of the Anglosphere, influenced by Winston Churchill's A History of the English-Speaking Peoples from the 1950s, and even the concept of an imperial federation with the White Dominions, as proposed by Joseph Chamberlain in the 1900s. Churchill biographer Andrew Roberts was one of those advocating Kanzuk, a confederation of Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK, as potentially the 3rd pillar of Western civilization, together with the USA and the EU. He argued that we must pick up where we left off in 1973, when the dream of the English-speaking peoples was shattered by British entry into the EU. Theresa May spoke in a similarly expansive vein when outlining her government's vision of Brexit. June the 23rd was not the moment Britain chose to step back from the world. It was the moment we chose to build a truly global Britain. Although stating that she was proud of our shared European heritage, May insisted, we are also a country that has always looked beyond Europe to the wider world. That is why we are one of the most racially diverse countries in Europe, one of the most multicultural members of the European Union. Here were hints of how Brexit might be seen in historical perspective, as the latest attempt to resist a continental tyrant, or as the chance to resume a global role that had been rudely interrupted by joining the EU.